Hi all, this is the first part of Firebase Services series in which I'm going to explain you about different Firebase services like Firebase Realtime Database, Firebase UI Authentication, and many more. In this part, I'm going to cover the basics of Firebase Realtime Database and its implementation in Android. What exactly is a Firebase Realtime Database? The Firebase Realtime Database is a cloud-hosted database which stores data in JSON format and offers automatic offline support and is synchronized in real time with every connected client. Now let's understand the definition in parts. First part which says is the cloud hosted database. It means there is no need to handle any backend servers and security as Google is handling everything for you. So it makes it super easy for you to use. Second is the JSON format. Another unique thing about this database is its format, as it is a NoSQL database, so you need not worry about database tables and any complex SQL statements. The third is the real-time updates. As the name suggests, it supports real-time updates. This is extremely important. When you develop cross-platform apps with Android, iOS, and JavaScript, information will be stored in JSON, as I told you before, and can be synchronized continuously to every related connected client. This is especially true when you develop cross-platform apps and you want the data to be shared across multiple platforms. And the fourth important point, that is the offline support. Firebase app automatically handles temporary network interruptions. Cached data is available while offline, and Firebase resends any write when network connectivity is restored. Now, as we know, what is Firebase Real-Time Database? Now it's time to get our hands dirty and start coding. So head on to the Firebase console and click on Create Project. For this simple Firebase real-time database, we are going to create a chatting app. So I'm going to name my app as chatting app. Click on continue. It gives you a pop to add Google Analytics to your Firebase project, but for the time being, I'm going to disable that. Click on create project and the project is being created. Yeah, now my chatting app is completed on the Firebase project. It says your project is ready. Click on continue. And now once the Firebase project is created, click on the settings button, go to the project settings. Here it says there are no apps in your project. So for this particular video, I'm going to create an Android project. So click on the Android, give a package name to my particular app. I'm going to name it as com.demo.firebase realtime DB. My app name is chat app. SHA-1 is not required as it's an optional field because we're not going to the store. So you can click on register app. Your app is registered now. Now it gives you an option to download this Google services or JSON file. You need to download this file because this particular JSON file will be part of your project. Click on next. Here, by default, Google gives you some options to add some dependencies for adding a Firebase project. We will add this in the future section. Click next. Continue to the console. So here we are on the console. Our project is ready. It says our chat app. This is the package name of our app. In case if you are not downloaded your JSON file, you can click on this button to download the JSON file. So on the left side, you can see there are a lot of options in the Firebase. The Firebase authentication, Firebase database, storage, hosting, functions, machine learning kit. For this particular video, we'll be focusing only on the database. Here it says Cloud Firestore, but we are not interested in the Cloud Firestore. We are interested in the real-time database. So we're going to create a database for ourselves. So when you click on the create database, it gives you two options: start in the lock mode or start in the test mode. This is related to the question like what type of rules do you want to apply to your database. Regarding these rules, I'm going to explain you in the future. So now our real-time database is ready. We have some rules to it, which I'm going to explain down in the video. Jumping into the Android Studio, the first thing which we need to do is to add the dependency for Firebase and Google services. For that, let's move on to the build.gradle at the app level. We need to add the class path for Google services. Yeah, we have done that. This particular GMS Google services is used for this particular JSON file which we have copied from Firebase and included in our project. This would be read using this Google services dependency. Now go to the app level build.gradle. Here we need to add the plugin go to the end of the file. Here add it Google plugin, and it will be com.google.gms.services. Done. Now you have added the GMS services dependency. Now you need to sync the project. If you're adding a dependency, just make sure from Google like you have on the latest version of the Google services. Our project is getting synced. Yeah, done. Now we can close the project level build.gradle and move on to the module level. Jumping into the module level build.gradle, here we need to add the dependency for Firebase Realtime Database. com.google.firebase database 19.0.0. Done. Now sync the project. As you see, we have added the Firebase database dependency in the build.gradle, and we also have the Google GMS services at build.gradle. Now we can start our coding to access the real-time database. For that, let's move on to the package level. And as you can see, I've already created some classes which are used in this particular project just to save some time. These are some basic classes like the adapters, layouts, the row layouts, and there is one data class which I've created for message, which contains the text variable and a sender variable. Text variable holds the message description, or you can say the message, and the sender variable holds the sender name. Now move on to the main activity. Here you can see it's completely empty. The first thing which we are going to do is to create an instance of our adapter and set a list to it, probably an empty list. The type of the list would be message. And now as we have created the list, now it's time to create an adapter. Now we have created two objects, one for the observable list, which will be part of the message adapter, and one of the object for the message adapter. It's time to create an instance of this message adapter. So for that, I'm going to create a new method. Message adapter will pass the observable list which we have created. Looking into the layout, let's get the ID of our recycler view which we have created. It's messages. Now go to messages.adapter. Now I'll add some couple of more attributes just to add the divider and the layout manager. Now we have set the adapter. Still, we haven't written anything about the Firebase real-time database. Now it's time to move on to the Firebase real-time database. So first thing, we'll create a Firebase instance. Using that, we can create some Firebase DB instances and probably listen to the events on that Firebase DB instance. So first thing would be to create a Firebase instance. From this Firebase instance, we'll get a reference of a Firebase DB instance, and this we can pass here a root level node. Probably for this I'm adding messages. It's a Firebase DB instance. We have created a property. Let's create a late init variable because we are going to initialize it in onCreate. Sorry, my bad. Need to have it where. Now we have two things over here. First is we have created the Firebase database object, and from that Firebase database object we have created a root level DB reference. Now this is the root level DB reference. The root level as in we will be having a JSON structure, and on that root it would be the messages. In order to push something to this particular root, we will do it on the on click of our button. Now on click of that image view, I'll add a lambda to it. The set value would take an object, probably in our case it would be the messages object, and with the message object itself is holding the message description and the sender. And for the time being, we will, for the message description, we will fetch the value which the user has written. From the sender point of view, we can keep it anonymous because we don't have any authentication as of now. And just to summarize, what we have done over here is we click on the send message image view, and as soon as the user clicks on the send message image view, we will push a message object to that Firebase DB instance that is messages, and this will add a JSON node to that particular route. Now run the project. Now when you run the project, you will see an empty screen with an edit box and a send button. So let's type our first message. Hi, this. Click on send. We have only sent the particular message which is in the edit box to the Firebase DB instance. Now let's move on to the Firebase console and see if our data is there. It still says there is nothing inside it. There is one problem with our code right now. We don't have any authentication. Ideally, without authentication, we want to be an anonymous chat group, but it's not working. So let's move on to the rules tab. If you go into the rules tab, you can see two types of rules over here, read rule and the write rule. By default, both of them are false. So this means neither you will be able to read from the database or you will be able to write to the database. So if you make it to true and publish your rules, and I'll go back to our project and then send this message again, go to the data, and yes, we have this root level messages, and inside that we have our sender that is anonymous and the text, hi, this is my first message. Yeah, so I finally pushed the first message into the database. We can have three types of rules in the database: the read rule, write rule, and the validate rule. So the read rule represents who can read the data. Write rule represents who can write to that particular database, and the validate rule represents the format of the data. So as of now, we are just mainly focusing on the read rule and the write rule. So if you write true, this means anyone who knows the database can read through it, even without authentication. And anyone who has access to the database can write to it without even authenticating. So this is kind of not a good practice to handle in databases. We need to have authentication, some kind of authentication, but for this video, I'm not focused about authentication. We will understand more about authentication in the future videos. But in case if you want to have some authentication, you can probably write authentication not equal to null, authentication not equal to null. So this states that only the authenticated users can read from the database and the authenticated users can write to the database. We are able to write to the database, but now we need to even read from it to get the list of messages from different users. So for that, we need to create a child event listener. What exactly is a child event listener? Classes who are implementing this interface. Child event listener is an interface, so classes who are implementing this interface can use this to receive events about changes in the child location. So we will kind of monitor this message root object, and as soon as someone adds any data to it, we will get a notification and we can update our adapter based on that. So let's create a variable child event listener. Child event listener. As of now, it is null. Now we have the child event listener. We need to override a couple of methods. Override all the methods. As we are going to read from the database, we have focused on the child added, because as soon as any child added to a particular route, we want to get notified. And the same way others can also work if you want to delete a particular message. So these will also work. Child removed. From the data snapshot, you can get to the particular object which is removed. Here also, the P0, that is the data snapshot, can tell you something about the data which is added. So we will add a particular code inside the onChild add. Now, what type of object we are expecting it to return? We are expecting it to return a message object because that is the one which we are setting it. Now what we are doing here is, when we get the message object, we need to add it to our observable list, which is used to render the adapter. As soon as we see something gets added to our particular list, we want to scroll the recycler view to the bottom. So for that, we have created a child event listener, Firebase DB instance, add child event listener, We are listening to this Firebase DB instance, and as soon as we get some notification, we will update our adapter. Now, as you see, I've not probably notified any of the adapter, and you would be wondering like how it will work. But as you see, I've already used an observable array list for this adapter. So as soon as anything changes into that particular observable array list, my message adapter will get notified, and I have an observable recycler view adapter which will notify the particular changes to the adapter. Now we run the code. The layout is somewhat messed up, but I'm not concerned about that. We are able to see the messages which we have previously sent. Now send another message. Yeah, here we go. Now we can even go to our chat console, go into the databases, go into the data, and here you can see 3 messages, and here also you can see 3 messages. The sender is anonymous. Don't worry about that. We will learn something more about the Firebase UI authentication also, so that we can probably give a sender names. We can log into the app using Google, Facebook, etc. Thanks for watching the video, and in case you find any issues implementing Firebase, do drop a comment about it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me suggestions.